Good morning. Pastor Ron Jetter, Immanuel Lutheran Church, Grandview, Washington. Tuesday, the 3rd of November, 2020, Election Day. Have you voted? Have you dropped your ballot off at one of the official Yakima County or Benton County boxes, or elsewhere if you live somewhere else? If you live somewhere else, glad that you're getting my daily messages. Thank you. I hope it's encouraging for you. That's my hope when I started these. I didn't know how long I'd be doing them. I only knew that as long as we're having to deal with some form of self-isolation or quarantining, that I was going to keep doing them as long as I'm the interim pastor here. When there's a new pastor, well, that new pastor gets to decide how then to keep us all connected. Meanwhile, though, I continue to do my daily messages here at the church on Tuesday. Wednesday, there's no message because instead there's a 4 p.m. Bible study. Sunday morning, there's no message because there's Bible study and worship. The other 5 days of the week, when we're not gathering for study or worship, you can see a daily message on my YouTube channel. So thanks for watching. We've just gotten finished. The lighting is now completed in here. It looks beautiful and costs next to nothing. Able to use really minimal stuff. Use the same old fixtures with brand new LED bulbs and a can of frosting that makes them less glare. There's more light. I had some broken panels, but I work with glass, learned how to drill holes in glass. Have you learned a new skill lately? That's one of the new skills that I had to learn in order to complete this project, how to drill a hole through a thin sheet of glass. It takes a very special bit, and you've got to keep it lubricated with something like WD-40 and go very, very slowly. And even then, there's a few pieces that are left on the workbench that didn't make it up here into the chandeliers at the church. We also have new security lighting outside so that as we then plan for November worship, or rather December worship, when we're here in the evenings, we'll be here Advent Wednesdays and of course Christmas Eve. So we have lighting outside and it will be lit inside as well. Planning on candlelight Holy Communion for Christmas Eve. We will have Holden evening worship services at 7 p.m. on the Wednesdays of Advent, not Lent, Advent, but the 2 seasons we have evening services, right? We do not have soup suppers yet. However, hopefully by Lent, by February or March, maybe we'll be back to having those soup suppers, but we are going to have worship here in the church on the 2nd, 9th, and 16th of December, and of course December 24th. Exodus. We're in the 12th chapter, and we've been reading about the culmination of the plagues that God has brought upon Egypt in preparation for Pharaoh to not just be ready for the Israelites to leave, but demand that they leave and leave quickly and take with them anything they want. And we've already heard how Moses told the people of Israel to select a lamb and to take the blood of that lamb and to put it on the lintel and the doorposts so that when the angel of death passes through Egypt, the Israelites will be protected. The angel of the Lord will see them as invisible because of the blood of the lamb. And we read how that is a perpetual feast. And I love this line, verse 26, when your children ask you, what do you mean by this observance? You shall say, it is the Passover sacrifice to the Lord, for he passed over the house of the Israelites in Egypt when he struck down the Egyptians, but spared our houses. And the people bowed down and worshipped. The Israelites went and did just as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. During the Passover remembrance, which still occurs in Jewish households and other households every year during the month of Nisan, which is usually late March, early April, a feast in the Jewish homes for 7 days. And the Passover is on the first of those 7 days. But there's unleavened bread for the entire 7 days. The children ask a question. It's the youngest child who's able to speak, asks 4 questions. And it's actually 5 questions, because the first leading question is, why is this night different from all other nights? And then that child goes on to ask the 4 questions. But the 5 questions are called the 4 questions. Well, we'll later on in this same book of Exodus ask the question, why are the 11 commandments called the 10 commandments? Yeah, so that's priming the pump again. There are 11 commandments. We'll count them. Verse 29, this is it then. At midnight, the Lord struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sat on his throne, to the firstborn of the prisoner who was in the dungeon, the firstborn of all the livestock. Pharaoh arose in the night, he and all his officials, and all the Egyptians, and there was a loud cry in Egypt, for there was not a house without someone dead. So every household had a firstborn in it. There were no widows or people who lived alone who weren't firstborn. Every house, interesting detail there. He summoned Moses and Aaron in the night and said, rise up, go away from my people, both you and the Israelites. Go worship the Lord as you said. Take your flocks and your herd as you said, and be gone, and bring a blessing on me too. Now remember, the original request was, we want to go 3 days into the wilderness. Does that mean go into the wilderness and be back in 3 days, or travel 3 days, worship the Lord, and then come back? Is Pharaoh expecting them back, or is Pharaoh ready to see them gone for good? After all, Moses did say, God says, let my people go. The Egyptians urged the people to hasten their departure from the land, for they said, we shall all be dead. So now the Israelites are a curse. They're afraid that if they stay, the Egyptians will all die off. And isn't that why Pharaoh originally killed the firstborn of the Israelites? Because he was afraid they'll be so powerful, they'll be a threat to us. Well, they're only a threat to you because you were a threat to them. The Egyptians urged the people to hasten their departure. So the people took their dough before it was leavened with their kneading bowls, wrapped in their cloaks on their shoulders. The Israelites had done as Moses told them. They had asked the Egyptians for jewelry, silver and gold, and for clothing. And the Lord had given the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they let them have whatever they asked. They plundered the Egyptians. They took their kneading bowls. Well, when I make bread, and I've got to make bread today, I haven't done it in a week now, which is odd, usually twice a week. I didn't make bread Sunday, and I'm sorry, I used a little wafer that was part of the portable communion service that we have, and as someone said, it looked a little silly, like Jesus took an individual goldfish cracker and was going to share it among all 13 people at the table. So next Sunday, I'll make bread again, because it looks nice to have that loaf there, the symbol. And I look forward to the day when together we can eat from the same loaf. That's the nice thing. That's what breaking the bread means. Breaking so that it can be shared, not opening a little package. But we do what we have to do for now. We do what we do to get by until the time when we are ready to celebrate the feast the way we're used to doing. The Israelites, this is a time of transition for them. They're going to have to get by. And we've been struggling with COVID now for 7 or 8 months. They had to get by for 40 years. My goodness, the things our ancestors had to do, to endure, to put up with, and the way we have struggled to just apply any little discipline to our lives and complain. Oh my goodness. Yes, we're restless, but it's our fault we're restless. That's our sin. It's our sin that we are restless. We don't know how to be still and know that God is God. The Egyptians learned the hard way that God is God. The Israelites are about to learn a 40-year lesson that God is God. So now they're on the move. Verse 37, the Israelites journeyed from Ramesses to Sukkot, about 600,000 men on foot, besides children. What about the women? What are they, chopped liver? There they go again. A mixed crowd also went up with them, and livestock in great numbers, both flocks and herds. A mixed crowd. Now, what does that mean? That means people who are not pure Israelite. That means Israelite men who had married Jewish women and children who were a product of, or Egyptian women, rather, Israelite men and Egyptian women, as did Pharaoh, or Joseph. Remember Joseph, his children are mixed. They're never again going to be of pure Israelite blood. They're just not. So there are mixed people. This is not a pure race. 600,000 Israelites. And then they add that curious detail there. Yeah. And that's in there for a reason, to remind us that Israel is Israel because of a covenant with God, not because of their DNA. As Jesus said, if God wants Abraham to have more children, he'll turn these rocks into children for Abraham. It's not DNA, it's the heart that makes them children of Israel. See you tomorrow, Bible study, 4 p.m.